ahead.
Hello, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us. For some, this is dinner time or family time. For others, you're taking time out of your work schedule. And for others, it's in our friends in Africa, Asia, and Europe. Could be bedtime. So thank you for prioritizing this time together, which is a celebration of the gifts and the achievements of our extraordinary scholar ambassadors. I'm Lisa Meadowcroft, the Executive Director of WMI, and I'm so pleased to see so many of you here who make up our wonderful community, those who serve as reviewers, who are donors, who are board members. Thank you for joining. And with that, I'd like to introduce one of WMI's most active and amazing board members, Jag Dalal. Jag, take it away.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm not quite that amazing, but I'm very active. So again, on behalf of the WMI board, I would like to thank you all for your support. And as Lisa said, as a reviewer, as donor, and it really makes a difference when all of us get involved in doing something that makes a difference. And that's how I got involved in it. So I started as a reviewer of application way back and really thought that this was a worthwhile project. It's something that'll make a difference, which kind of thought reminded me of a story that I'd heard one time. And I've been kind of playing with that story to kind of keep changing its tone, so to speak. So bear with me, and I'm going to share the story with you. So one day, a father and little daughter were walking along the ocean. And as they walked up, they saw all of these starfish on the sand, kind of working because the tide had gone out and they were looking for water. And there's no way the water was going to come back up and save them. So as they walk further up, there's an old man. This old man picking up one starfish and walking in and putting it in the water. And then he was coming back, picking up the second one and going in the water and putting in the water. And so the little girl said, walks up to the old man and said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, these starfish are going to die because they don't have water. I'm just picking up one and putting them in the water." She just kind of looked around, looked at all these starfish that are sitting out there and said, "Look at all of them. What's going to happen? You're only putting one out there." And the old man said, "Just remember, I made a difference in that life." She kind of thought about that. She said, "That's interesting." Then all of a sudden, she started walking up out of the ocean beach, up on the sidewalk. And father said, "Where are you going?" He said, "I'm going to go out and get more people. I'm going to have more people who could come and put the starfish back in the water." And father says, that's very interesting." He said, "I know some people who wouldn't mind donating some money to build a wall where we can put the water in and water out so these starfish will never have to starve." When I hear that story and when I repeat that story, I think about WMI. WMI is making a difference one at a time. All of us who are really participants in any way, we're doing our share in picking up that one starfish and putting in the water. Some people are out there recruiting and saying, "Hey, come," just like the young girl, and say, "Hey, come and help us." And like the father who says, "Hey, I know my company has funds and I can come and see what I can do with that and build a wall, which can improve a whole lot of starfish." I always listen to and think about that story in reference to WMI, and I said, that is what WMI is all about. Our mission is not just to provide the scholarship to these students and make a difference in their life. Our mission is to use the scholars to go beyond and make an impact in their community and make their improvement that they bring with their expertise, with their knowledge, and what they have learned. That's what WMA is all about. And again, thank you very much for your support. Thank you very much that your support helps make that difference. Thank you. Lisa?
Thank you so much, Jag. And as Jag said, each of us can actually make a difference in the world, and WMI is indicative of that. So thank you very much for making a difference in someone's life. So WMI has spent the last 2 decades building a global network of grassroots leaders, just like the 3 you're going to meet this evening. These 806 scholars from 55 countries are at different stages in their scholar journey. Some are still in school, some have graduated, some are getting master's degrees, some are working. But they're all actively engaged in meaningful work and service to their community. Regardless of where they are in the journey, they are all well on their way to addressing significant global issues, from lack of quality health care to food insecurity to limited financial opportunities for women to devastating pollution to climate change. Our scholar ambassadors exemplify true leadership, individuals who value education, but also value paying it forward to the communities they call home. With that, I would like to welcome this year's scholar ambassadors. From Sierra Leone, we have Jeremiah Thoronka, who graduated from university in 2021. From Kenya, we have Joyce Shikuku, who graduated from college in 2018. And she absolutely now is working full-time and is a regional coordinator for WMI. And from Nepal, we have Mala Deep, who graduated from college in 2020 and is our regional coordinator also with WMI. I'll share a bit more about each of these before turning it over to them to share their own experiences and their own journeys. Let me start with Joyce. Joyce is a social scientist with over a decade of experience in project management and social behavioral research. A native of Kenya, Joyce is passionate about utilizing research-backed data to advance policy reform for women and girls in Africa. She founded a community-based organization dedicated to empowering underprivileged adolescent girls and young women in remote parts of Kenya. Through strategic partnerships, he has empowered over 250 girls in menstrual health management, life skills, and the creation of reusable sanitary towels. Jeremiah Thoronka is a native of Sierra Leone. He began his life as a refugee during the terrible civil war there. And later, that civil war experience and being experienced as a refugee would motivate his passion for clean energy. He is especially focused on the intersection of energy conservation and innovation that can leverage local socio-cultural insights, enabling communities to fully realize the social value of accessible renewable energy. Jeremiah was named to Forbes Africa's 30 Under 30 this year, which tells you the extraordinary journey his life is taking. And he was also honored with a Mandela Washington Fellow in 2023, as well as being a Deloitte Climate Scholar. Mala Deep is a data scientist and founder of Data Shaka Analytics, who is passionate about harnessing data and digital technology for the betterment of society. And Mala is actually in New York right now attending a data science conference at Columbia University. So his talking may be a little bit, he was unable because of traffic to get back to his hotel room. So you may hear some background noise. His research focuses on integrating methodologies and data visualization, human-computer interactions, machine learning, visual analytics, and data mining to address pressing global issues. His goal is to make complex systems more accessible for organizations and people like me, particularly those serving marginalized communities. A native of Nepal, he founded Gyan, an initiative that provides education in data science to underprivileged Nepalese youth. So now we'll hear from Joyce, Jeremiah, and Mala. If you have any questions for them, please hold on to them or drop them in the chat and you'll have them answered after they introduce themselves. Joyce, take it from here.
Thank you so much, Lisa, for that wonderful introduction. Good evening, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon. And thank you all for joining today's meeting. And I'll briefly speak about myself. And as Lisa mentioned, if there are any questions, we'll take them at the end of the presentation. So I'll introduce myself again. I'm Joyce Shikuku, and I'm the East Africa Regional Coordinator for WMI. I am based in Kenya, and I'm a graduate scholar for WMI. I graduated in 2022. I was one of the seed grant awardees, the awards that WMI provides to graduate scholars to actively participate or to start projects within their community and empower their community. So I was awarded the seed grant in 2019, and then during the COVID period, WMI also provided a COVID-19 grant to help with COVID-19 pandemic, and I was one of the lucky awardees in 2020. So I have a full-time job in Kenya. I work for a research organization called Kemri Wellcome Trust Research Program, and I am the lead community liaison officer for human infection studies, and I'm also a social scientist. And my role specifically, we conduct community activities to find out community perspectives about human infection studies. These are studies that healthy adult human beings are infected with a malaria parasite and are under close observation for at least 42 days to observe how the malaria parasite works, how it manifests itself, and they treat it before they go home. As a social scientist, we collect data from the community and all the participants about the human infection studies, how they should be conducted and how ethical they should be. And we give this information, the feedback back to the scientists so that they can improve whenever it can help with protocol development and improve the studies moving forward. My background, I come from a family of 8. I'm the last born, and my parents died just before I joined college, and that is when my journey with WMI started. After hustling and trying to find ends meet, a friend of mine introduced me to WMI, and I was lucky to be one of the selected candidates for the year 2017, and they funded my undergraduate education in I had a Bachelor of Development Studies at Mount Kenya University. And since then, I have become unstoppable, as Jeremiah always says it. So WMI, they empower you to give back to the community, as Jagas mentioned. They encourage you to give back to the community as much as you've been helped to extend the help to others. So I have over 10 years experience with community activities and just giving to the community and all that. I work with, I was the Kenya Fellowship, so we have fellowship, all the scholars within our country, they form a fellowship. So I was the vice chairperson for the Kenya Fellowship. And we've had several activities as the fellowship, and also those ones that I've been doing individually. We've been having medical camps. We've had visited women in prison. We've had beach cleaning, among several other community engagement activities. So my major, or what I was passionate about in my community activities, which I kept repeating, were conducting HIV activities and menstrual health hygiene management for young girls, adolescent girls, and young women. For HIV, I was focusing on the children who were born with HIV, teenagers who were born with HIV, and providing them with life skills and encouraging them that there is more to life than just being HIV positive. For the young girls, I noticed within my community, we have a lot of young girls who drop out of school due to lack of money, also menstrual health problems. They cannot afford to buy the sanitary towels. I started a project in 2017. It was called Giving Back Initiative, where I was empowering young girls on how to make reusable sanitary pads with locally available materials so that they do not miss going to school and eventually dropping out. In the process, I partnered with so many organizations, those that provided facilitators, or maybe they provided the sanitary pads, others provided disposable pads, which came a long way in reaching out to the lives of these young girls. Currently, I'm doing my postgraduate Master of Research and Public Policy at Maseno University. And what motivated to do this course is as a researcher, or during my work, when I was doing a research on adolescent girls and young women, we were having interviews with young girls who were engaging in commercial sex, and some were parents at a very young age. And I noticed from the finding is that these young girls, there are so many policies that are being developed, or there are so many policies that are put in place concerning young girls, but they are not involved in the process of decision making. So I want to be that voice for the young girls and young people. I believe having a master's or advancing my degree to PhD level will enable me to become this policy analyst or policy consultant, that I'll be sitting down with all these policy makers and being the voice of these young girls. And I believe with my research experience and my social science experience, I'll be conducting evidence-based, I'll be providing evidence-based data on what these girls need and being the voice that they want to be heard within the big people, amongst the big people in the country. And with Giving Back Initiative, my philanthropic work right now is on the pilot phase. I provide vocational skills training to young girls who've dropped out of schools for one reason or another. So far I have 3 on my list. One just recently graduated in 2018, in August, sorry. And I have 2 in school. And I hope to get more and more with partnership with the people who have the same zeal as mine and have passion for empowering young girls. Yes, that is me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Joyce. It's so wonderful to hear your experience and how you are helping young women in your community. I'd like to call on Jeremiah now to talk to us about his experience and what he's been working on and what he plans to work on.
Oh, okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Jeremiah Thoronka, and I'm from the beautiful country called Sierra Leone. For those who don't know where Sierra Leone is, it's in the far western part of Africa. It's a beautiful paradise. So I was born during a period in time when Sierra Leone was going through some of its most gross challenge, which was the 11-year civil war. The war started in 1991 and it ended in 2002. So kind of I was born within that period. And growing up in Sierra Leone during that period, growing up in Sierra Leone during that period, that was when also Sierra Leoneans started experiencing firsthand what climate change impact felt like. And it was during that period that I started taking my own future into my own hands, trying to see how I can contribute towards solving energy and other climate related problems, because it was very prevalent that because of lack of access to energy, these communities were going to the forest, cutting down the forest as much as they can, be it for cooking or be it for lighting. And since 2000, in just under 25 years, Sierra Leone have lost about 36% of all its forest cover. This is a country that used to be covered by forest almost 90% over the last century. So what I currently do is I work with energy deprived vulnerable communities. Most of the time, these communities are far from like the epicenter or urban areas, and because of their distance from those urban areas, development projects doesn't prioritize or factor them in. And I use my own frameworks to solve their energy problems. Where I go to these communities, I stay with them for days, weeks, or months to understand what are the other underlying problems that they have, be it gender problems, inequality problems, intergenerational problems. And from understanding those problems, then when we solve those problems, then when we bring in energy, energy serves as the vehicle to move the communities forward. And the reason why I use that approach to solve energy problems is because for now, energy access or energy transition conversations are mostly framed along the lines of people are too poor, they cannot afford, to pay for electricity, or they are too poor, they can't access the technology, or they don't have the skills to develop the technologies themselves. And most of the time, that is not the case. So part of also the work that I do, I also promote my framework that I use on how energy developers or people solving climate change can reconsider how they structure, how they respond to climate change and work with communities with strong social cultural elements and historical context. I'm also a PhD researcher, and I'm researching on the sociocultural elements that either prevent or impact communities from absorbing new technologies along the lines of innovation diffusion and stuff like that. And my research is kind of informed by the work that I do. And I really enjoy the work that I do. And one of the fun facts or the fun stories that I like telling about the work that I do is most of the time these people who are living in energy poverty, when I go to their communities, the first thing they tell me is we don't want electricity, not because they don't want it, but because of the underlying problems that they have. And this is a trap that most energy developers fall into, where the intentions are good, but then the approach that they use end up putting these people more into energy poverty than the way they were. Say, for instance, if somebody's making below $1 per day, they don't have electricity in their house, chances are all that money goes towards, say, health and feeding in most cases. And when they now have electricity in their house, they need to take some of that money, the money that is below $1 per day, and then they pay electricity bill. So the developer end up making these people poorer than the way they were. And in cases where there is like violence between, say, husband and wife, if you bring energy, you make the women suffer more than the way they were. So there was a particular case where the 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 husband will not allow the wife to leave the house post 6 p.m. So during the ethnographic process of me engaging the community, understanding what are some of the problems they have before bringing in energy into the community, the husband was like, okay, let me test this thing for like a month or two and see how it goes. And when he tested and he realized accepting the wife as a partner, they'll be able to move faster in life compared to like if he make all the decision in the household. And there was a time when the lady got sick and she was unable to sell. Then the guy was calling me, reporting that, oh, she's in the house, she doesn't want to go sell anymore. So kind of, this shows the power of the type of approach that I use on how, you can use energy to solve multiple problems. And my life mission is within the next 5 years, I want to take 100,000 people out of energy poverty, be it to the current project that I run or to other ventures that I'll go into. And by next month, November, or in the next few months, we're going to launch a project called the Ecopreneurs Project. We got a funding from the Italian government and UNDP, where what we'll be doing is very much simple, but then we want to create a larger impact where Sierra Leone was listed among the top 10 countries that is most prone to climate change. And already for me, on my own scale, I work with about 10,500 people, but then I can't solve all Sierra Leone's climate problem. So we need a huge ecosystem of young people like myself, to contribute towards solving the diverse set of problems we have in Sierra Leone. So we've zoomed in to work with high school students, where we're going to give them the tools and the platforms they need. We're not going to tell them what they have to do. From their own experiences, they can identify problems that they are connected to and then that they want to solve. So through our tools, platforms, and connections we're going to give them, we want them to be change makers, where Sierra Leoneans will be able to solve their own problems. Compared to like now, when we have flooding, most of the time you have experts flying in, and every year it's the same thing. We don't want that to continue. We want to solve our own problems. We have our own experiences, we have our own processes, and we have our own technology. So how are we going to scale it up for more young people to come in to solve those problems? So that is something that we're going to launch, and it's something that I'm very much excited about. And I came across WMI during my undergrad years, where I was almost dropping out of school because I was unable to pay my tuition fee. And ever since, through the different programs and initiatives within WMI, I've been able to get to the point that I got to. Like Lisa said, this year I was listed on Forbes 30 under 30 for the work that I do. And about 2 or 3 years ago, I was the inaugural winner of the Global Student Prize. For context, it's a global award where students from across the world are nominated, and there are two primary indicators that they look out for. One is you have to have excel exceptionally well in academia, but then also you should be having a huge impact in your community. So during the first award in 2021. There were about 9,000 exceptional students from across the globe that were nominated. And going through the process, I ended up becoming the winner, where part of the award also came with $100,000 that went towards my project and the work that I do. So kind of, I don't know if there's anything that I either didn't say clearly or something that you like to know more. I'm very much happy to answer your questions. And if there's any feedback you may have for me. Now, thank you speaking with you, and your contributions, your time, your resources that you've put into WMI is just a little bit of results that I'm sharing that I've benefited from WMI. And there are lots and lots of young people like myself who that either they can't go to school, or they're about to drop out of school, or they've already dropped out of school because of resource and financial constraints. And the work that you do within WMI, I am just a little bit of that success story. And there are a lot of other young people like myself across the globe. So we want to thank you, and we also look forward to your continued support in identifying, many, many more exceptional young people that will go on to change the world and to make it a better place. So thank you all.
Thank you, Jeremiah. You couldn't, no one could have said it better than you did about how important our supporters and reviewers are to the work that we're able to do. Now, Mala, we're going to try and see if you can talk to us, if it's not too loud in where you are. Are you able to actually talk to us a little bit about your work, or are you still in a place that is very loud?
I think, am I audible? Or is background noise anything issue?
Well, why don't you talk a little bit?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So namaste everyone. I am Maladeep, and I'm from Majestic Himalaya. So I'm from Nepal, and my hometown is one of the least developed but largest district in Nepal. And I came from the family of 4 brothers, and we were we having 4 brothers, and from the mountain area, education was not good for me. However, my father sent me to Kathmandu to study, but because of financial constraint, I was not able to continue my education. So then a defining moment came in my life in 2018 when I was awarded with WMI scholarship. Then I don't have to worry about finance side. And then since after receiving the scholarship from WMI, I started focusing more on the events and conference and hackathons. And then in 2018 only, I was awarded the first runner-up at MIT Global Startup Lab, and I received $2,000 to launch my first startup. And in that same year, I started my one startup, but it was failed because of college and other things, but it closed, but I learned a lot. And then also during the same year, I joined Hall Prize at Kathmandu University, and I secured second runner-up. And later on, I also joined the biggest hackathon in Nepal and was able to receive $300. And it was a good ride. So because of WMI, I was able to focus on more kind of other part of my life and career. And regarding giving back to society, right, I have started an initiative called GAN. So GAN is the Sanskrit word for knowledge. So it's mean GAN, giving back to society. And that's very close to my heart. And along with my friend, what we do is we collect money, visit most rural part of the Nepal, the school, and kids studying about computer, IT, and sustainable development goal. Because still in Nepal, lots of schools, they have zero knowledge of SDG and everything. So in many of the villages, right, what I found that children have never seen a computer before. They know what computer is, how computer works, everything. But when we show them the computer or the mouse or keyboard, they say, what is this? Because they have never been able to experience practically. So having this challenge, not in my village, but across many parts of rural Nepal. So I was thinking of doing something. And then luckily, during my flight from my hometown to the Kathmandu, I met a Belgian guy, and we happened to talk in the flight. And then he was also coming from Belgium just to support for a few schools. And I talked about him the issue, and then he was able to help me. And with the together support of him, I established a first district computer lab and computer club back in my hometown. And through the GANs, we were able to utilize that same computer lab, which is not just my village, but more than 5 villages nearby the hometown. Now they are like on the regular basis learning about computer with the practical knowledge. So now they know what mouse is, how mouse looks, everything. So that the happiness of the student, I see it because of that, gave me more reason to continue giving back to society kind of things. So like what I believe is giving back to society is our duty and not a charity. So whether it's through GAN or my work in data science or my contribution to education, because I'm currently teaching data science to students across Nepal, and I have a scholarship from my own firm, right? I try to give a scholarship to students to pursue data science because as data science booming a lot, and Nepali people still want to take that one. So overall, currently my dream is like to continue the GAN, to get more funding for the GAN and make it register and do more kind of computer strategy work. And also I'm trying to continue, like I'm about to finish an MSc degree and I hope to pursue a PhD degree or another and master degree in economics. And totally, like in conclusion, I just want to say like my story is all about like growth, opportunity because of WMI and giving back to society because that's the thing the WMI has embodied in me. So WMI has played a significant role in my journey, and I'm totally grateful for the support that has helped me to get here and where I am today. And though I am saying WMI, it is actually I am saying to all the donors, the supporters, those people who are beyond the curtain, right? So your generosity has not changed my life, but also helping save the future of countless other scholars that I am helping like directly, indirectly. So thank you very much for always being there for we scholar, and thank you very much for allowing me to share my story. And I hope to continue make a difference, one step at a time, and hope I can be a part of bigger industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mala. And I just want to say how extraordinary it is that 3 people from 3 different regions have chosen very different life journeys. And yet what binds them all together is their intense joy and enrichment that they get from helping others. And so I just want to recognize that and say how incredibly proud WMI is to have been a small part of their journey and to continue with them on that journey as they thrive in the world. We had a question from the audience, so I'm going to ask each one to respond to this, first with Joyce, then with Jeremiah, and then Mala. What is life like for those in your communities who do not have the opportunity to go to university and complete a degree? Joyce, can you speak to that?
Yes, thank you, Lisa. Life without education generally is a mess. So in my community, though you could clearly tell a difference between those who have education and those who do not have. Coming from the rural part of the coastal area, most people depend on their parents to provide everything. So they are lazy. They are just they're not looking forward to getting anything because they know they don't have anything worth for them to go out and fight or to get something out of it. So in my community, those who have not had the privilege of going to school, for young girls, most of them are married off. Girls my age probably have 7, 8 children who have children. Probably they might be having like 4 grandchildren at this point. And for the men, there's this drug that is locally available in the coastal part of Kenya. It's called KHAT, KHAAT. It's locally available, and they normally just take that, sit in designated areas along the road and chew that thing and wait for more. They don't have hope the only job they can wait for, maybe if there's a construction going on somewhere, they'll go and work. They provide cheap labor for less than maybe $5 a day, and that's it. So basically, without education anywhere, not just in my community, but even here in the US, without education, life is pretty much hard. And it's so hard for you to navigate the system if you do not have the resources to make you want to grow. Thank you, Lisa. I hope I've answered.
Jeremiah, do you want to add to that?
It's for Sierra Leone. It's also not too far from that. I was just sending two separate links on last year. Our government declared a drug emergency. So there is this synthetic drug that is available where most people who have not been able to go to school. There are two paths that are available for you. It's either you kind of enter into crime and you end up losing your life, or you zero in on drug as a way of keeping it going until you also lose your life. So kind of those are like, it's very prevalent. And for girls, it's very much worse off. You see little girls, little kids you kind of used to grow up with now have like 5-6 kids, different fathers. They don't even know what they're doing. They've lost it all. They don't know where to start. They don't know where to go. So kind of the situation, it's now getting worse now that economy is in a whole different space. Impact of climate change is also happening at the same time. So the moment you land in Sierra Leone, you instantly know those who have not been able to go far in education. You instantly see the variation when you see two people standing. So that is how stark it is in Sierra Leone, like also how it is in Kenya and across the sub-region.
Thank you so much, Jeremiah. Mala, do you want to?
Yeah, the story is kind of same, right? But just the difference in my hometown, especially Nepal, like especially without education, young people migrate to India for low-paying labor, right? But the best victims will be like women, because they will get into human trafficking because lack of education and lack of awareness. And because of that, like lots of villages are being deprived of young men and females. So we have that problem. It's just because of education, not having education, not having the college or school. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you so much.
Lisa, can I just add just a
Oh,
second?
please, Jeremiah.
Yes, so it's all we also have that problem. Some of you on the call may have heard about the Mediterranean boats and stuff, and most of those people primarily come from sub-Saharan countries. And there are a lot of studies that have been done that shows that people who either have never gone to school or people who were unable to complete their education see the only option they have to make it in life to take up that risky journey to go across the Saharan desert, go to Libya, and in most cases they end up either being sold as slaves. And if they're opportune to kind of make it past that slavery that happens in North Africa, then they take the risky journey through the Mediterranean and then they end up in Europe. Most of the time they're not wanted there. And if they were educated and then they were given like the skills and the resources they need, the youthfulness that they have, the innovative thinking that is available in the world, they'll be able to have a huge impact in their respective countries compared to going to places where, the skills and ideas that they have is not either welcome or they will not have the space. For example, for me, where I am, of course, it's not comfortable, but then the ideas that I have, my aspiration is very much needed in Sierra Leone than any other place in the world. Of course, I can go to Rwanda and I'll be needed. I can go to Tanzania, but then staying in the US would just be, a waste of time for me because I may be comfortable in the US, but then my aspiration of working with people in pure energy poverty and implementing projects that will solve energy and climate crisis would be a total mismatch. So kind of that is just something that's kind of very prevalent, not only in Sierra Leone, but then across the sub-region.
Thank you so much for sharing. I think it's deeply personal. So we had a question from Ricardo and Nicole. asking, is the WMI scholarship well known in your country, and how did you guys learn about it? Jeremiah says word of mouth.
Yeah, I think word of
You
mouth
wanna-
is the most powerful one. For me, the funny thing was the first time I got to know about West Mountain because I was speaking to a particular friend of mine who told me, "Oh, apply." I applied the first time, I actually didn't get it, and then I reapplied again. And ever since, when we go to places, when we have opportunity to speak to our colleagues, some of us that have either received the scholarship or those that have applied but then not secured it, kind of share the word. So that is why you will see lots more people applying, because kind of everybody that is a scholar or a graduate scholar technically serves as an ambassador, sharing the word of for the benefits from WMI. So kind of that is how the word is going out there.
Anything to add, Joyce?
Yes, just to add on to what Jeremiah has said, word of mouth, and also we are ambassadors in our own country. So when somebody hears that there is scholarship for undergraduate, but there are very few organizations that provide this, WMI being one of them. So when somebody who's struggling with education, they find out that you've been provided a scholarship, they will want to learn more. And they've called for meetings to learn how to apply and all these things. And us being positive speakers and mentors, we provide this skill for free and help them try their luck as much as we did. And it's gone viral within my community. As the East Africa Regional Coordinator, I've done a huge work in mentoring people to apply for these scholarships.
That's wonderful. Mala, is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, and also we have lots of fellowship in like country, right, of the scholar only, and each scholar also they take as ambassador, so they say the through word of mouth only. So every scholar that in Nepal or wherever they try to say like, okay, you apply for this scholarship, there's a scholarship opportunity and all kinds of things. So we get from that one also.
Thank you so much. So it's extraordinary that when you think about it, because WMI does not advertise anywhere about our scholarship, but each year we start with about 1,900 young people who apply, and we end up being able to give about 100 scholarships a year. So you can see that the capacity and the need is extraordinary. And the only thing that separates us from helping more young people like the three that you're so wonderfully able to meet tonight is resources. And so we thank you, because you are the people who help us with the resources. So I have a question for you, Jeremiah. You served as a global advisory board member, and from 20 to 2021. Can you explain what the Global Advisory Board is and the impact of that experience on your life and work, and how it fits into WMI?
So kind of for context, the Global Advisory Board was formed as a way of bringing the scholars and graduate scholars and perspective into how WMI develop or craft its programs, for our aspiration and, what we are in need of to be reflected on how WMI is run. So during my time in the Global Advisory Board, one of the things that was very pressing among the scholar population was the need for mentorship. So kind of what we started doing, one of the many things that we did was to start the mentorship program at the time, start thinking on how we're going to develop it in a way where we can match more experienced scholars with new scholars. So we have, for example, we have a lot of students doing medicine, and we also have so many graduate scholars who've done medicine over the years. So pairing them where the new scholars in medicine will learn from those who've already gone through the hurdles of becoming a medical doctor, and what it entails, what they can learn. So kind of sharing idea, leveraging on the knowledge, the skills and network that we have internally within WMI was something that really stood out to me. And one of the most important things that stood out to me is most of the time organizations that provide support like WMI does, they tend to sit in places and then they craft everything on their own, and then they send it to the beneficiaries. But then WMI with the Global Advisory Board is kind of, valuing what students are actually in need of and making sure that it's reflected within the organization. So for me, that is something that I found to be very powerful. Or for the Global Advisory Board is I saw Dr. Isaac on the call. I served with him, and he's also an excellent person that lots and lots of us within the WMI community really look up to. So that is just some of the things that we did
Thank you very
during
much.
our time in
Thank
Ghana.
you for your service. Thank you for your service. Mala, you talked a little bit about how people in Nepal, in the rural region where you're from, have heard of computers and mouses and different parts of a computer, but when you actually showed it to them, they had never seen it before. So would be so interested to know what inspired you to go into the line of work that you did and study data science.
Okay, so as I'm from Goa, right, lots of tourists come to visit here. So I happened to meet a guy, and he was from like in Netherlands, right? And I just asked him about what he do, and he said like he works in the IT engineering thing. And since then, and what he do, and he said like he do IT engineering, he connects people, and he connects people through internet and other kind of thing. So I was fascinated by that one. But back in Dolpa, we don't have kind of, because it's so remote that we can only travel by flight. We don't have a roadway to go there. If we have to walk like from capital city to there, it takes like more than 7 or 8 days and long ride. Right? And because of that incident I have with him, I happen to like see like if connection can be made through IT and all that kind of thing. I start doing it. And particularly of the IT, I come for the data science is because with the data we can analyze it, right? We can see how we can grow, how we can improve and everything. And I really want to improve the education section, especially back in Dolpa, to make internet more connectivity and make people to learn from like being in the Dolpa, they can take the course of the Kathmandu, or they can take the course of the MIT provided here through online, right? Still, that is possible for a lot of people, but for Dolpa, it's not. And because of that passion, I wanted to get into this field, and I am into this field. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That's remarkable. Joyce, I would love to know how you got to KEMRI, the Wellcome Trust, which is one of the most profound and well-regarded clinical research organizations in the world, and is centered in Kenya. And you are a community mobilizer, which means that you often have to, as far as I understand, it means that you often have to work to convince people to actually that clinical research is a good thing to participate in, and that if you are doing a malaria study, you will not actually develop malaria and get sick, but rather you will actually be providing information that will help the world at large. So how did you get to KEMRI, and what inspired you to work there?
Thank you, Lisa. So when I was doing my diploma in community development and counseling, I looked up for an organization that fits my academic career. So KEMRI, we had people, some of the students used to work for KEMRI. So they brought me the job description they had advertised. And they wanted somebody who was living within the locality, who knew the local language. And I didn't have all that. But it couldn't have hurt to try. So I tried, and luckily I applied first. And then I applied twice for that position. So during the interview, I was lucky to be called for an interview, and they told me, we saw your application, you applied twice. I think they got it that I really needed the job. So they gave me, I started with a very, very junior position as a field worker, and I was being paid about $100 per month, which I used that money to start my undergraduate degree. So I moved gradually. When I graduated, I was promoted to a data clerk, and then I advanced my academics, and then I became the research counselor and studied the social science career. And then eventually I am the lead facilitator for the human infection studies. So it's really fun having to listen to the community. And as much as we tell them about what Cambridge does and how we conduct our researches, on the other part, I enjoy speaking to the community to find out how they perceive our researches, how best do they think we should conduct our researches, and ensuring that the ethical considerations are met as they participate in our studies. And also just ensuring that the message is out there, not paying you to participate in our studies. We are just compensating for the time you've spent with us, and also returning your transport, return fare, just to come and participate in our studies, and learning that eventually the findings that we get from research is going to help you. So far, we've had successful study completion, and we have R21 Matrix M, which is a vaccine that has been rolled out in Kenya for children below 5 years, and they must get the malaria vaccine all over Africa. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you so very much. Are there any other questions that you would like to ask? Please put them in the chat. If not, I'm going to give a minute or so to see if you want to have any more questions for our spectacular scholar ambassadors. And I just want to say how humbled I feel to be in their presence, to know what challenges they've overcome and what inspiring work they are actually achieving each and every day, and how indicative they are of the scholar ambassadors and of the scholars that WMI serves across 55 countries. And now going to be in our second decade. Next year is WMI's 20th anniversary. And so we will be doing a lot of things to celebrate that milestone. And we want to thank you very much for everything that you have done. And we hope that you will continue to support the work, because it truly does enable greatness, and it makes us able to have the change makers that we've met here this evening and from across the globe. So it doesn't look like there are any more questions. If there aren't, I want to say thank you to Jag, to Jeremiah, to Joyce, and to Mala for participating this evening. And thank you to all of you for all that you do for our scholars and the people that we serve. And with that, I will say good evening, good morning,
Lisa?
good night, and have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, so forth.
Lisa,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jag.
Yeah, I was going to say, again, thank you very much on behalf of WMI board. I want to thank everyone for their contribution. And we're so proud of having these scholars among us and their journey, what they've gone through, where they're at, and what they're doing in the community to help. It helps us achieve our mission of making difference one person at a time into a community. And these three were absolute examples of that. So I appreciate them. I appreciate what they've done. And really, it is amazing what they've accomplished with what has been done. WMI was only a small part of their success. All success belongs to them. Thank you.
Thank you and good
Yeah,
evening.
I would, this is Gail. Hi. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Gail is one of our board members.
Yeah, I would like to also tell you that I know the struggle that you go through pretty much. I work with a similar populations that you all do. And it takes a lot of grit and a lot of bravery and a lot of belief in yourself to be the different one. So congratulations to all three of you, and thank you for sharing your experiences with us, and I look forward to meeting you soon.
Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you very much.
Good evening.
Good evening. Bye.